All right, we're here with the third video today. We're going to talk about Don Lemon, I guess, for some reason. And we're going to talk a bit about Glenn Greenwald, him resigning from the Intercept, because they wouldn't release his story, and he got pretty mad about it because it's, I guess, it goes against what the Intercept wanted, and it's apparently pretty truthful. So we'll get into it. But first, I guess we'll talk about Don Lemon. You can tell that I'm pretty hesitant, I guess, to really talk. Not really hesitant, but don't really want to talk about Don Lemon because he sucks. He's just an awful person in general. I've heard enough of what he said to just be like, okay, dude, you are crazy, and I don't want to listen to you. But apparently now he's calling Trump supporters drug addicts who have hit rock bottom. He says he's cut off a bunch of his friends that they've gone too far. I'm pretty sure a bunch of your friends cut you off a long time ago over your unhinged, conspiracy theories. So you probably didn't have any Trump supporter friends to begin with to lose. So, yeah. So CNN host Don Lemon sparked outrage on Thursday night when he told a national audience that he has cut out friends because they supported President Trump, and I guarantee you didn't have any friends that supported President Trump, you dumbass. Likening them to drug addicts who have hit rock bottom. That's really cool that you would call, even if you did have friends that supported President Trump and you let them go, to then call them drug addicts who have hit rock bottom. Boy, I'm sure those people are very happy you are not friends with them anymore. Very, very happy. He says, I had to get rid of a lot of people in my life because sometimes you've just got to let them go. Lemon told colleague Chris Cuomo at the start of his CNN Tonight broadcast on Thursday. I think they have hit rock bottom like an addict, right? And they have to want to get help. They have to want to know the truth. They have to want to live in reality. Boy, are you projecting, bro, because you are one of the most clouded individuals in the mainstream media. They have to want to be responsible not only for other people's lives, but for their lives. Says you. The 54-year-old cable news host talked about growing up and living in several red states where he made friends with people who are now supporters of the president. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sure they're very, very happy to not be friends with you anymore. I guarantee it. You know what the sad thing is? I'll be honest with you. I've had many people who I love in my life, and yeah, I come from a red state, Louisiana. I've lived in several red states. There are a lot of friends who I've had to really get rid of because they are so nonsensical when it comes to this issue, Lemon said. They have every single talking point that they hear on state TV and that they hear from this president. They repeat it, and they're blinded by it. No, yeah, but you just want them to have your talking points then. You want them to say whatever you say, and you want the power over their lives. That's how it really is, Don Lemon. You're just a psychopath? A sociopath? Yeah. You're pretty much just a disgusting human being, just more based on character of what I've seen. The character I've seen of Don Lemon is just trash. Just an awful person. And I wouldn't want to be friends with him. And if he said, oh, I don't want to be your friend anymore, I'd be like, all right, see you. Anyways, let's talk about Glenn Greenwald. So we'll start with the Daily Mail article on it, and then we'll go to his article that he resigned over, I guess. Glenn Greenwald posts anti-Biden article. The Intercept refused to publish where he tears into biased journalists for making excuses for Joe and shares emails from his editors telling him to narrow down his accusations of corruption. Why would you do that? Wouldn't you want the truth out? Even Don Lemon said, hey, you got to get that truth out, right? But then you stifle it? Ooh, yeah, you just want your truth to be the one up front, not the actual truth. So Glenn Greenwald has posted the article the Intercept refused to publish, in which he slams the media for their obvious bias towards Joe Biden and has also released the emails with his editors in which they told him to edit the piece to make it less suggestive that Biden has ever acted unethically. Greenwald resigned from the Intercept, the website he co-founded, this week after a row over the article. It started with a recent story by the New York Post about Hunter Biden, his emails to a Ukrainian businessman, and the suggestion that Hunter introduced that businessman to his father, to his father Joe when Joe was the vice president, you forgot a comma, at a time when Hunter was also on the businessman's payroll. It raises serious questions about whether Biden uses influence as vice president unethically because in the months after the purported meeting, he pressured Ukrainian officials into firing a prosecutor who was pushing down on the businessman. And it's on video. Like, I don't know why Biden seems to think that he can get away with this when it's on video. Well, let's move over to what Glenn Greenwald has to say. So here's the article, My Resignation from the Intercept. The same trends of repression, censorship, and ideological homogeneity plaguing the national press generally have engulfed the media outlet I co-founded, culminating in censorship of my own articles. Today, I sent my intention to resign from the Intercept, the news outlet I co-founded in 2013 with Jeremy Scahill and Laura Poitras, as well as from its parent company, First Look Media. The final precipitating cause is that the Intercept's editors, in violation of my contractual right of editorial freedom, censored an article I wrote this week, refusing to publish it unless I remove all sections critical of Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden, the candidate vehemently supported by all New York-based Intercept editors involved in this effort at suppression. The censored article, based on recently revealed emails and witness testimony, raised critical questions about Biden's conduct. Not content to simply prevent publication of this article at the media outlet I co-founded, these Intercept editors also demanded that I refrain from exercising a separate contractual right to publish this article with any other publication. I had no objection to their disagreement with my views of what this Biden evidence shows. As a last-ditch attempt to avoid being censored, I encourage them to air their disagreements with me by writing their own articles that critique my perspectives and letting readers decide who is right, the way any confident and healthy media outlet would. But modern media outlets do not air dissent. They quash it. So censorship of my article, rather than engagement with it, was the path these Biden-supporting editors chose. The censored article will be published on this page shortly. It's now published here, and the emails with Intercept editors showing the censorship are here. My letter of intent to resign, which I sent this morning to First Look Media's president Michael Bloom, is published below. As of now, I'll be publishing my journalism here on Substack, where numerous other journalists, including my good friend, the great intrepid reporter Matt Taibbi, have come in order to practice journalism free of the increasingly repressive climate that is engulfing national mainstream media outlets across the country. And I think a lot of other journalists should, take what Glenn Greenwald did as a call to action, and I think they need to leave. They need to join other media outlets and actually report on what's truthful and not just stifle conversation just because you disagree with one side. So let's go to the article in question then. Article on Joe and Hunter Biden censored by The Intercept. It says, I am posting here the most recent draft of my article about Joe and Hunter Biden, the last one seen by Intercept editors before telling me that they refused to publish it, absent major structural changes involving the removal of all sections critical of Joe Biden, leaving only a narrow article critiquing media outlets. I will also, in a separate post, publish all communications I had with Intercept editors surrounding this article so you can see the censorship in action, given the Intercept's denials. Decide for yourself. This is the kind of transparency responsible journalists provide, and which The Intercept refuses to this day to provide regarding their conduct in the reality winner story. This draft obviously would have gone through one more round of proofreading and editing by me to shorten it, fix typos, etc., but it's important for the integrity of the claims to publish the draft in unchanged form that Intercept editors last saw, and announced that they would not edit but completely gut as a condition to publication. Titled, The Real Scandal, U.S. Media Uses Falsehoods to Defend Joe Biden from Hunter's Emails. So, you know what? I'm just gonna go over probably won't go over the entire article because wow, this is actually quite extensive. If you want to, read the entire thing, I'll probably, finish reading it myself later on. But if you want to, read it, go to greenwald.substack.com and, you can go find his article. I'll probably post a link in the description for this article specifically for you guys. Publication by the New York Post 2 weeks ago of emails from Hunter Biden's laptop relating to Vice President Joe Biden's work in Ukraine and subsequent articles from other outlets concerning the Biden family's pursuit of business opportunities in China provoked extraordinary efforts by a de facto union of media outlets, Silicon Valley giants, and the intelligence community to suppress these stories. One outcome is that the Biden campaign concluded, rationally, that there is no need for the front-running presidential candidate to address even the most basic and relevant questions raised by these materials. Rather than condemn Biden for ignoring these questions, the natural instinct of a healthy press when it comes to a presidential election, journalists have instead led the way in concocting excuses to justify his silence. After the Post's first article, both that newspaper and the other news outlets have published numerous other emails and texts purportedly written to and from Hunter reflecting his efforts to induce his father to take actions as vice president beneficial to the Ukrainian energy company Burisma, on whose board of directors Hunter sat for a monthly payment of $50,000, as well as proposals for lucrative business deals in China that traded on his influence with his father. Individuals included in some of the email chains have confirmed the content's authenticity. One of Hunter's former business partners, Tony Bobulinski, has stepped forward on the record to confirm the authenticity of many of the emails and to insist that Hunter, along with Joe Biden's brother, Jim, were planning on including the former vice president in at least one deal in China. And GOP pollster Frank Luntz, who appeared in one of the published email chains, appeared to confirm the authenticity as well, though he refused to answer follow-up questions about it. Thus far, no proof has been offered by Bobulinski that Biden ever consummated his participation in any of those discussed deals. The Wall Street Journal says that it found no corporate records reflecting that a deal was finalized and that text messages and emails related to the venture that were provided to the journal by Mr. Bobulinski, mainly from the spring and summer of 2017, don't show either Hunter Biden or James Biden discussing a role for Joe Biden in the venture. They always use a pseudonym. They were saying the big guy or using a different name. But we do know that Joe Biden was using his son as a proxy to make these deals to earn more money for the family name, for Biden Incorporated. But nobody claimed... I read that part. Beyond that, the journal's columnist, Kimberly Strassel, reviewed a stash of documents and found correspondence corroborates and expands on emails recently published by the New York Post, including ones where Hunter was insisting that it was his connection to his father that was the greatest asset sought by the Chinese conglomerate with whom they were negotiating. And it seems to be true for Burisma as well. The New York Times on Sunday reached a similar conclusion. While no documents prove that such a deal was consummated, records produced by Mr. Bobulinski show that in 2017, Hunter Biden and James Biden were involved in negotiations about a joint venture with a Chinese energy and finance company called CEFC, China Energy, and make clear that Hunter Biden saw the family name as a valuable asset, angrily citing his family's brand as a reason he is valuable to the proposed venture. I mean, you don't put your own name on it. Obviously, you can use your crackhead son, I guess. These documents also demonstrate, reported the Times, that the countries that Hunter Biden, James Biden, and their associates plan to target for deals overlapped with nations where Joe Biden had previously been involved as vice president. Strassel noted that a May 2017 expectations document shows Hunter receiving 20% of the equity in the venture and holding another 10% for the big guy, who Mr. Bobulinski attests is Joe Biden. And the independent journalist Matt Taibbi published an article on Sunday with ample documentation suggesting that Biden's attempt to replace a Ukrainian prosecutor in 2015 benefited Burisma. I mean, yeah, there was apparently between active and inactive investigations against Burisma. There was like 13 or 14, something like that. And then as soon as then Hunter Biden comes in, and then they use Joe Biden's name, and then we have the video of Joe Biden literally doing a quid pro quo. And then the prosecutor got fired, a new one came in, and Burisma was cleared of all charges, every single one of them. So yeah, there's a lot of impropriety going on. All of these new materials, the authenticity of which has never been disputed by Hunter Biden or the Biden campaign, raise important questions about whether the former vice president and current front-running presidential candidate was aware of efforts by his son to peddle influence with the vice president for profit, and also whether the vice president ever took actions in his official capacity with the intention, at least in part, of benefiting his son's business associates. But in the 2 weeks since the Post published his initial story, a union of the nation's most powerful entities, including its news media, have taken extraordinary steps to obscure and bury these questions rather than try to provide answers to them. The initial documents claim the New York Post were obtained when the laptops containing them were left at a Delaware repair shop with water damage and never picked up. I mean, if you're a crackhead, you're probably going to forget about them. We've covered most of this stuff. Neither Hunter nor Biden campaign has denied these claims. Publication of the initial New York Post story provoked a highly unusual censorship campaign by Facebook and Twitter. Facebook, through a longtime former Democratic Party operative, vowed to suppress the story pending its fact check, one that has as of yet produced no public conclusions. And while Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey apologized for Twitter's handling of the censorship and reversed the policy that led to the blocking of all links to the story, the New York Post, the nation's fourth largest newspaper, continues to be locked out of its Twitter account, unable to post as the election approaches for almost 2 weeks. Yeah, Jack Dorsey said during the Senate hearing that all they need to do is they just need to delete the post and just redo it again, and it'll be fine. Why do they need to delete that post? Almost like you need them to do something for some form of justification or something. I don't know. But you should unlock their account if it's fine now, and obviously that post doesn't violate anything. So I think you're just a shill, Jack Dorsey, a shill. After that initial censorship burst from Silicon Valley, whose workforce and oligarchs have donated almost entirely to the Biden campaign, it was the nation's media outlets and former CIA and other intelligence officials who took the lead in constructing reasons why the story should be dismissed, or at least treated with scorn. As usual for the Trump era, the theme that took center stage to accomplish this goal was an unsubstantiated claim about the Kremlin responsibility for the story. Oh yeah, they're Russia. Numerous news outlets, including the Intercept, quickly cited a public letter signed by former CIA officials and other agents of the security state claiming that the documents have the classic trademarks of a Russian disinformation plot. But as media outlets and even intelligence agencies are now slowly admitting, no evidence has ever been presented to corroborate that assertion. On Friday, the New York Times reported that no concrete evidence has emerged that the laptop contains Russian disinformation, and the paper said even the FBI has acknowledged that it had not found any Russian disinformation on the laptop. The Washington Post on Sunday published an op-ed by Thomas Rid, one of those centrist establishmentarian professors whose media outlets routinely use to provide the facade of expert approval for deranged conspiracy theories, that contained this extraordinary proclamation: "We must treat the Hunter Biden leaks as if they were a foreign intelligence operation, even if they probably aren't." Yeah, that raises huge concerns. Even the letter from the former intelligence officials cited by the Intercept and other outlets to insinuate that this was all part of some Russian disinformation scheme explicitly admitted that we do not have evidence of Russian involvement, though many media outlets omitted that crucial acknowledgement when citing the letter in order to disparage the story as a Kremlin plot. I mean, yeah, why would you have that in there? I mean, you obviously want this information to go out. It says, despite the lack of evidence, the Biden campaign adopted this phrase used by intelligence officials and media outlets as its mantra for why the material should not be discussed and why they would not answer basic questions about them. I think we need to be very, very clear that what he's doing here is amplifying Russian misinformation, said Biden Deputy Campaign Manager Kate Bedingfield about the possibility that Trump would raise the Biden emails at Thursday night's debate. Biden's senior advisor Simone Sanders similarly warned on MSNBC if the president decides to amplify these latest smears against the vice president and his only living son, that is Russian disinformation. Just because the president's going to bring it up, it's obviously Russian. Boy, they just... the mainstream media pisses me off. And it's just... it's all a farce. It's all just cockamamie BS, and from the mainstream media, I should say. The Hunter Biden email scandal is very, very real. Anyways, I'll leave it there. I'll post this article on in the description down below for you guys to continue reading, because boy is it long, and it looks like it's going to go into more of Joe Biden's stuff and just pretty much the media itself and how they handle the situation. So, I mean, I'm going to give a little clap here to Glenn Greenwald for having the balls to resign and publish the story, because he doesn't seem to want to back down to these authoritarian Democrats and the propaganda arm that is their main, that's the, left mainstream media. So, I'll leave it there. That's the last video for today. I will see you then tomorrow, guys. You have a good one. Bye.